So now we pick up here at the statement of retained earnings. And again, this is an abbreviated form of the statement of stockholders' equity. Okay, so a lot of times you won't see this in other textbooks. Okay, and all this really is an abbreviated form of the statement of stockholders' equity. Unlike the statement of stockholders' equity, which shows all equity account transactions that occur during a given year, the retained earning reconciles the net income earned during a given year uh, and any cash dividends paid with the change in retained earnings between the start and end of year. Basically, it's very simple, and I'm going to show it to you right here. So here's the retained earnings from the beginning of the year. Everyone see that? Here's the beginning of the year. All right, so here's the net profit after taxes from the income statement. Okay, the very bottom of the income statement, right? Now here you are paying out your cash dividends, preferred and common, so you can see uh, basically they're taking off what they paid out and did not retain. Now some companies will pay out nothing and they'll have all the retained earnings. And then here's your total dividends paid, which is the sum of these two, right? You see that right there? So your retained earnings balance would be the beginning, your net profit, what you paid minus what you paid out, right? And here's your retained earnings at the end of the year. So here was the beginning of the year, and here was the end of the year. So here's your new retained earnings statement. So in 2020, you'll show this as the beginning. I don't know why that's doing that now. I'm sorry I did that. And I don't know how to get rid of it now. Maybe if I get rid of it. I don't know. I don't know how to solve that problem. Okay. All right. So that's the statement of retained earnings, and then the last statement is the statement of cash flows. And this is a real important statement because if you don't have cash, you got problems, right? So we have the statement of cash flows here. And it basically is just a summary of the cash over the period. And it's got three components, right? Cash flow from operating, cash flow from investing, and cash flow from financing. Okay. So then there's notes to the financial statement. And all right, so I want to move on now past that. I don't know if there's anything else here, but why? I don't see anything unless it's all right. Let's see if I have anything else here. All right, so now we have the ratios that are so important, and financial ratios allow you to do financial ratios to analysis to basically do a checkup, a health checkup on a company. If you're going to compare companies, so you do a health checkup, okay? So different parties will like the the statements to check the health, and here it is, right? They want assurance, and this is important, kind of what I'm saying, right? That the business is healthy. All right, so there's a couple of different analysis. There's cross-sectional, okay, analysis. It's comparison of different firms' ratios at the same point in time. And you can see there's a lot of different sources that publish ratios here. And there's industry averages. Everyone can see that, right? Here's the different averages. I kind of highlighted that. Ratio analysis on its own is probably most useful in highlighting areas for further investigation. And that's where people look. What's going on, good or bad, right? And here's a nice example of Caldwell Manufacturing here. Mary Boyle, she's the chief financial analyst, and she's looking at inventory turnover ratio. And inventory turnover ratio is a key item, right? It tells you how many times you've turned over your inventory. And you can see against the industry average, Caldwell Manufacturing has turned it over a lot more. So Mary believed these data showed that the firm had managed its inventory much better than the industry average, right? Because they're selling more, so they're turning over their inventory. And and then there's another way you can look at that, and they make an important point here that it could be a sign that the firm is not holding enough inventory, right? But these days, a lot of companies don't, and they do just in time. So that's it's done a lot more different today with just in time. All right, I'm going to play this. Let's see what goes on here. Let's watch this together.
Financial ratios are very useful in evaluating a firm's performance along a number of different dimensions. Ratios help us to determine how profitable a firm is, how efficiently it is managed, and even how risky the firm might be. But with most ratios, there is no single optimal value that a firm should strive for. For example, it might seem obvious that a firm should try to earn the highest profits that it can, and in that case, a firm might seek to achieve the highest possible profit ratio. However, while an unusually high profit ratio might signal exceptional performance by a management team, it might also be an indication that managers are taking too much risk. Smart managers know that with most financial ratios, there are trade-offs that they must balance, which usually means that the optimal value for the ratio is neither too high nor too low. In this example, we look at one of the most widely followed ratios, inventory turnover. The inventory turnover ratio measures how quickly a firm moves its inventory from raw materials through production to finished goods and to the consumer as a sale. Turning inventory over rapidly is often a sign that managers are running the firm in an efficient manner. Inventory that needlessly sits on the shelves or in a warehouse does not contribute to the firm's profitability. So companies generally try to hold only the inventory that is required to meet customer needs. Even so, inventory ratios widely depend on the type of business you are analyzing. If a donut shop produces and sells all of its inventory each day, then it will turn over its inventory 365 times per year. In contrast, a winery producing high-end wines might hold its products in storage for a year to let them age properly, resulting in just one inventory turn per year. Thus, when analyzing a particular firm's inventory turnover ratio, it is wise to compare the firm's inventory turnover to the industry average. Caldwell Manufacturing has an inventory turnover ratio of 14.8. This means that Caldwell completely turns over its inventory roughly every 15 days or about 24 times per year. The industry average inventory turnover is 9.7 turns per year, so it appears that Caldwell is doing an exceptional job keeping its inventories low. However, think about the consequences that might confront a firm if its inventory holdings are too low. Shortages of raw material may lead to production delays, and insufficient inventories of finished goods might mean delays in shipping orders to customers. Caldwell's high inventory turnover ratio is a signal that Mary Boyle should investigate Caldwell's inventory management more closely, and upon further inspection, she does learn that Caldwell's low inventories have led to production problems and customer dissatisfaction.
All right, so that was interesting. All right, and then the other items we have here is what's called time series analysis, and that evaluates performance over time. And what they try to do here, and I highlighted here, they try to spot trends. All right, any significant year-to-year changes may indicate a problem. Okay, and then combined analysis basically combines cross-sectional and time series. So you're comparing it against somebody else, but over time. So you're doing both at the same time. Okay, so I just want to say that. So you can assess the trends in the behavior of the ratio in relation to the trend for the industry. All right, so, and you can kind of see that here, right? This figure here shows the type. Here's the industry average in red, and here's American Airlines. And you could see net profit margin. American Airlines was having a rough time, but then they picked it up. And then they kind of slumped off again. So you can see the trend here. All right. So they've had their ups and downs, American Airlines, as shown here. All right. So I'm gonna knock off there, and I'll pick up here All right, different cautions and what you got to look out for and be careful with ratio analysis as we start doing that. All right.